They want to expression. Express your true self. The world needs you. Lapis lazuli. We are live. So welcome everyone to our lunchtime tea talk, next level conversation, level up with the Akbars. Today we are talking about faith. We are so excited to talk about faith. And I was just pulling a couple of Shaktra love cards, and my cards revealed expression to express my true divine self and divinity. Recognize the divine in the mirror. Ashe, ashe, and so it is. Mr. Akbars, he has a huge card. It says, out of chaos comes creation. Using the stones and the crystals, amazite, carnelian, peach, moonstone, red, jasper. Turn it up, turn it up.
Turn it up, then. Love it.
You know, Mr. Akbar, we've been doing these shows for a while now, talking about the 5F's, faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. And, you know, when it came back around to faith, I was like, what more can you say about faith? But when I thought about faith without works is dead, the question came up, works. What kind of works? What is the work? Who is the work? And today we got it going on. We got lavender.
Have mine.
Ginger. I got anise in mine. I hate saying that word, but star anise. Anise. There you go.
Yeah, anise.
There you go. Okay.
I don't want no anus in there.
I gotta open the window. Hold on, that one threw me out. Made me get a hot flash.
Oh my goodness, girl! Don't flash it.
I mean, this is live, so everything is live.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull another card real quick, and it comes from like these morning meditation cards I got a long time ago. The box is discolored. I've had it so long, but it's called Reminders: Conversation with God. And because today is faith, these cards you get to pull one in the morning or in the evening, just something to reflect on when it says remember. So what number should I pull, Mr. Akbar? The front, the middle, or the last? So not number, but which one? Because there's so many of them.
You can go in the middle.
All right, here's in the middle. This one says passion is the path. It is the way to self-realization. Passion.
That's true. But I was thinking, yeah, I see it. Passion. I have passion. I am passionate about most things that I set my intentions to. Yeah, and so I just want. But you said faith without works is dead. Now, see, that's a profound concept. I'm just thinking about it, right? Because faith, and then I want to say this too, because faith is about confidence and trust. I said, but faith without works is dead. You see, so you just don't sit around having faith that something is going to happen. You understand? Because there's times where people can shield themselves from activity by saying just have faith.
Right.
Wait on the Lord. So the reinforcement to faith is without works is dead. And then there's another concept as well, right? Because it's how does that go? Faith untested can't be trusted. So I mean, the faith is the confidence and trust in a person, a thing, or a concept. So what is it now? And often, the concept, we put faith in is the belief in a higher power, a God, as we understand it.
Yeah.
So we have faith that God is. And that's well. All our faith appear to be strong right up until it's challenged. And what it says, faith untested can't be trusted.
Right.
You see, and there is times just like in the scripture when they talk about Job going through his situations, back to back to back to back. And the woman that should have been his confidant, giving him what is a woman comfort,
Mm-hmm.
she said, "Curse God."
And die.
You see, but his faith was strong, right? Because it was being tested, and it now can be trusted. He was a trusted servant, having faith in the concept and the belief of God. But there's times when people's faith is tested, they forget all about God. And folks who behave with integrity in the light,
Mm.
when they are challenged, you'd be surprised what's revealed in the dark.
Yeah.
And so it's like, our character has to be stronger than the adversities in life. If not, we'll start trying to figure out shortcuts around, and then our integrity now is in jeopardy. Why? Because our faith has been tested, and now it's not being trusted. Does that make sense at all to you, my sister?
Yeah. And it definitely gives you something to think about, like, how they say a pure lips can say anything. So when you say, faith can only be trusted once it's tested, that's where that saying comes in: thin and prove, thin and prove, or show and prove, thin and prove. I had brought up a couple of, 10 ways to have better faith, because once again, faith is not religion. Faith is things that are hoped for and things that are unseen. And it says, number one is be more prayerful. So, what would you say to the person that doesn't pray? I've talked to several people in my lifetime, and not too long ago, where I asked them, "Hey, have you been praying?" And they actually told me no. And then it's amazing how the Creator in the universe still takes care of those that don't pray. So it's amazing how I've talked to people before. They told me they didn't come from a prayerful household. They didn't come from a household where they valued faith, religion, or spirituality.
Mm.
But in the midst of, we're still taken care of. What would you say to someone that I just mentioned in those three categories, that wasn't brought up to pray, didn't come from a household of faith, and didn't come from a household of religious beliefs either? How could they begin to strengthen their connection and be more in touch with faith?
Well, that's a difficult question, to ask in a general way, to apply that to people. I can only speak generally about me, but I know I have some encounters with people who don't believe in God at all, but they still have faith.
Mm,
They still believe in some of the universal laws. They have faith, that oxygen is real. They have faith that gravity is real. They have faith that what goes up will come down.
hmm
So it's like, how do you believe, and how do you associate your belief with having faith? Because yeah, we see the wind blowing, you see, and how we know the wind is blowing? We either hear it or we see it moving something. You see, but on a still day, how do we know there's wind out there? Well, because we inhale and we exhale. You see, and so it's like that's the unseen. You see, and we have these ideas associated with invisible, unseen entities that we know is real. And so now, when you're talking about prayer to what? Prayer to who? And so that's where I think the disconnect happens, in their belief or their idea about who are they praying to or what are they praying to. I don't know. That's a general question, and it's loaded,
Yeah,
because
I
it's
never
it's
go
so,
there. No.
yeah, it's so thought provoking. It makes you, like Arsenio Hall used to say, it makes you want to say,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so, I don't know. I don't know. And sometimes I struggle with trying to understand how those who don't, put power in prayer or put belief in the power of prayer. I mean, it's like it's incomprehensible to me because of my belief. But being empathetic towards others and not judgmental about their belief, I still struggle with understanding how do you look at this amazing creation and then think it was somehow accidental. I mean, the universal laws are so precise. And then to think somehow it came out of an explosion. Now read my gold card again, where it says out of chaos comes creation. What is that what it said? Something to
Yeah,
that effect.
it's
You
exactly
see?
what it said.
And so now you have people who are locked in on the explosiveness bringing order.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And so I struggle with understanding that without judging people or dismissing what they believe and how they have faith in whatever it is that they have faith in. But the reality is, I'm locked in the way I see it,
Mm.
open to understanding others, though. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And, this time I'm not going to have all the questions. Allow you to ask me something as well, or
Well, I want to reverse that and ask you the same question
do that all.
because I would be interested in your opinion about that idea.
What's the idea, brother?
The question that you asked me.
Ask it
Yeah.
back to me.
You use your name. How do you think about people? What do you think about people who don't have the belief in prayer?
Well, because I am so on a quest to seek to understand and not to be understood so much, I'm just grateful to watch individuals process, because when you ask them certain questions, like you just said, in regards to the wind blowing and them breathing automatically, and how man cannot create man, so there has to be a more power, more divine, um, and then I noticed when you start exploring, they they'll start to say, some people will start to say, well, they do know that there's something greater than themselves, a power that's stronger than the human flesh, but they just don't know what to name it or call it, or even sure if they're sure about that. So opposed to being wrong, they rather not have any opinion, so to speak. So what I would say is, as I'm reading some of my, 10 things to think about, is keep a journal about answered prayers. Because even if you're not a person that is religious or faith, I mean, you're still a human. So being a human, there's still desires, there's still dreams, there's still goals. So if you have desires, goals, and dreams, and then you see them start to come into fruition, but you knew that you were being led a certain place, or you were introduced to someone that could help to bring this into fruition. To me, these are answered prayers. So you can, if you don't want to use the word prayer, you can say answered dreams, answered goals, answered aspirations. Nevertheless, they were answered. And if you didn't really have the foresight to see it happening and be able to make those steps and put those steps in place, now in hindsight, you can see how those steps were actually put into place. You were actually, strategically aligned with that destiny. How did it happen? And it was all set forth in motion on your behalf. How could you not give thanks? So when it says thanks to who, thanks to what, thanks to where, thanks to a power greater than myself. Thanks to the powers that be, because there are powers that be. So that's my answer to that. I hope that I answered that.
Well, I think the answer. I think the answer to that uh, is unanswerable. I mean, really, because how people believe and how people see the world, in spite of how I see it and believe it, it's so varied. And the reality is, I have faith. I have faith in people.
Mm.
I have faith in the goodness of people. Now, to the contrary, there's an awful lot of terrible people in the world. There's so many terrible people in the world, it can deter your faith
Mm-hmm.
to have trust in people. You see, so that's the challenge, right? And it's like, what's the bigger picture? To have faith and trust in people, to have confidence in the human ability, or to look at it the other way. And so what I think is necessary for me and my character, you know, is for me to always give the benefit of the doubt to the human being.
Mm.
Now, there are some other entities that cause us to be sometimes inhuman in our behavior, you know, dismissive in ways that we shouldn't be. But the idea about it is we are all human, with some of us with an idea that we're moving towards the divine. And then there are some of us that believe that we're all human, but faith has already set our path. And so whatever happens is incidental or accidental. Is not, you understand? And so, that in itself sometimes can come across like a contradiction.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
but the reality is I just try to understand, why do people understand the way they understand with no judgment? And so I have faith that what's supposed to be revealed to me will be revealed to me. And then we can start those principles that you initiated this conversation with. Faith without works is dead. And so, I do my part to reinforce having faith in the human being, the human spirit. Does that make sense at all?
I mean, I'm listening. I don't want to have to agree just because I'm listening. I just want to be able to be the space to hear what you're saying. Your
No,
thoughts.
I want to understand, if does it even make sense? You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
I can't even really say if it does. Or I mean, I'm sure that it makes some level of sense. But
To
what
me.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to go agree and agree, and I really, it's something that probably need to be processed. It's like
Yeah.
I don't want to have to say I agree with you, and I really don't know. I really have to think about what you said. So,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
there was a lot of contradicting, such as life. Life is contradicting. And so that's what makes it so crazy that, I can say a sentence and then someone can say the sentence in reverse and it means something totally different, but it was the same sentence just in reverse. So
Exactly.
that's why I say I'm seeking more to understand than to be understood because, as I'm growing, my thoughts and beliefs aren't always the same as they were back when. Because that takes me to my next point that I wanted to make that I wanted to say in regards to people that don't believe, or excuse me, people that believe in Christianity, so to speak. And then they try to explain to someone else about Christianity. Now, here's that double edged sword, and here's that in reverse. Now, you're, talking to someone that's asking about Christianity and you're explaining it to them. And then in Christianity comes so much pain, comes so much strife, comes so much contradictory, comes so much ill will. And so it's like, then you have to explain to someone, well, hey, that's not who Christ was. Christ was loving, Christ was caring. And then, then you get those people, well, what about when Christ turned over the tables in the church? Yeah, he was turning it over because people were doing ill will and not good deeds in the church. So he was standing for justice. Nevertheless, what I'm trying to say is it's so sometimes a challenge to try to say to someone, if you're trying to explain to them about Christianity, but then Christianity was the religion that enslaved our people for so long. So then you ask a person, how can you believe in something that enslaved a people for over almost 600 years now? So then you have to say again, the it wasn't the Christianity, it was Christians that had this religious beliefs. But if they were a true Christian, they wouldn't have done this. They even did it to Christ, so to speak. So then I see why there's so many people that shun themselves and pull back from religion, because even trying to explain a religion that you want to have someone believe in, there's so much hurt and pain in that religion. It's like, why would I want to believe in that? Then you have people, like I said, that have gone through this process and say, I don't want, this book, it says King James, so it says revised. Why do I want to believe in something that's been revised? So it's taken away from its full and realist context. So that means someone changed it and you want me to believe in it. How do I know what I'm believing in? And I can go on and on about the different parts of the word that has been altered and changed, where someone could argue the fact, how can I believe in something that I might not, it might not even be real on what I'm believing in. So there's a lot that goes into religion. That's why I like to keep this faith separate, because even with all of that, have faith to know that the spirit behind all of it is good. But then it says, but the spirit has allowed evil to exist. So then there's good and bad, both existing in the same arena. So people are saying, now I have a hard time having faith because bad things always happen. So I know that was a mouthful, Miss Akbar, but I would like for you to give some thought, because I'm sure you've run into some people that think that way. Is that not true?
Yeah, and when it comes to Christianity, even though I support my wife, my sister, and the Christians who are in my family, I have my own set of ideas about how it has been used as a destructive tool.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and so those principles, all of those 10 Commandments, is nowhere near being reinforced by the actions of Christians around the world.
Right.
You see, and so I think the biggest perpetrator in all of this is that Caucasian image that they have in flesh, saying that it's representation of Jesus Christ, and then they say, well, not really. But picture language was the first language. It is impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And so before a child can even express itself, if it see an image, that image is inculcated into the mind. And then come the spoken language, just back it up. So even though, I've been in churches where they will say, the preacher would say openly that the how Jesus' complexion was,
Mm-hmm.
how his hair was. That's not reflective of the image that be right up in behind him. And I sit there and I try to wonder, when is this going to be removed? Like some of the images that were removed out of the educational system. When they always had black folks in this other image as a servant, not the kings that we were. They have us in a certain picture, and so that is so impactful. When representing the picture language, that
Mm-hmm.
image that it gives, and it goes right into the subconscious, and that becomes now our reference. You see, and so I was challenged with it, and I had to redirect my thoughts around how I prayed, because if I wasn't consciously aware of my prayers, and I would see an image of that image.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold it. You see, because I know the power that it has on people around the world. And that was the thing that allowed Christians to enslave the rest of the world. They had them believe that that was God's image. And now that's them.
Right. And the only time you really hear about Black people is the Ethiopians that were poor and coming, to give thanks and also give gifts to the baby Christ, and other aspects of as slaves. So,
Right.
always depicting us as a slave type of image, not some. And then when you're looking at, and I don't want to throw this off and start talking about religion, because that's why we keep it on faith, but I do want to say, even in the 10 Commandments, it was another insult with, all the characters were Caucasian characters when, everywhere you go in the Middle East, That's not Caucasian. So it's like, wow, just the disruption of our thoughts of who we are and our lineage, our heritage, even, of course, there was African Americans and Africans in the slave trade all along the way, people turning against each other, but just totally all together in regards. It's just like been just a farce the whole time on in regards to who we are as a people and where we come from and whose we are, because even in the word of God, it talks about the Jews and the Gentiles still, you know, never having a place for us, so to speak. It's either them or them, but never us. And if we were spoke of, I guess we're lumped in with the Gentiles, but nevertheless, this is talking about faith today, next level conversation we level up with the Akbars. Yeah, we get pretty deep in our discussion because it's real, and it's not just talking about what people may want to hear. Some of what we talk about people may not want to hear. And it's not to say that we're right. We're having a conversation. We're speaking about where we are, our thought process, and also, continuing to grow, continuing to evolve. And I think that's important. Um, you know, Also, when you're talking about having more faith, surround yourself by people who are passionate about God, about the universe, about helping people, about loving everybody, about being inclusive, goodwill towards men. You know, um, with so much injustice going on, and you have so many people fighting for justice. I just read my grandson the book by Bob Marley. Get up, stand up for your right. Beautiful coloring book, but it's just always us fighting for equality, fighting to be recognized, fighting to be appreciated. So I have faith to know that we will be vindicated, that we will be exalted, that we will be honored, that we will continue to evolve to our higher self, to our better selves, that we don't have to have validation from necessary Caucasian Americans, but for universal, that we're universally all appreciated because we all have something to offer and something to give. It's unfortunate that the hatred had to be in the midst of, because I think we missed out on some wonderful blessings and gifts that we could have all given each other had it not been the jealousy, the hatred, the envy, and the oppression of a people. Missed out on so much that we could have done together collectively. We could have collaborated and created something beautiful had it not been for all of the disruptions in the midst of. So we only have 2 minutes left, Mr. Akbar. I was wondering how we was going to get through this topic today because we talked about it on more than one.
Gracefully.
Huh?
Gracefully. So we got through it gracefully. And so just thinking about that, what you were saying about that card that you pulled, out of confusion comes creation. Or chaos.
Creation.
What was it, confusion or chaos?
It's out of chaos comes creation.
Now think about the chaos that existed in the environment of slavery. But think about all the creation. Slaves invented so many of this stuff that exists today.
Yeah.
Just why? Because they were trying, the cotton gin. It's just on and on and on. I got a list of about 150 creations from slaves.
Yeah, me too. Peanut butter.
Yeah.
The wire dryer.
Yeah. And so, drug, heart plant, a transplant,
iron.
And on and on and on, right? These were people in an environment of slavery.
Yeah, and then there you go.
How did Booker T. Washington, right, do what he did in the environment of slavery? I mean, and even today, in an environment of psychological and economic slavery, you see, now we're able to create an event. But the idea about it is that I'm not going to ever give up faith in the human spirit,
There
in
you go.
spite of all the other activity that goes on with racism and sexism, the bigotries, all of that stuff that exists, and it appears to be in reflection of a human being. No, it's different because the human spirit represents God's attributes that's in harmony with the universal laws.
Yeah.
And that's what I have faith in.
Yeah, I do too.
That things are going to be all right.
Thank you for that, Mr. Akbar. And that's a great way to end today's topic. Next week, 12:30 Wednesday, we'll be talking about family.
I have a wonderful family.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of.
In spite of. In spite of.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you for having me, Mrs. Akbar.
Thank you for being an awesome co-host.
Let's level up.
Have a wonderful day, sir. Peace.
Peace and blessings.